Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Bolling. Welcome to Cash It In. Our Cash It In crew this week: Wayne Rogers, Jonathan Honig, Michelle Fields, and Jamil Green. Welcome, everybody. The terror group ISIS trying to infiltrate America. Don't believe me? Take a listen to this eye-opening exchange between Senator John McCain and the Undersecretary of our Homeland Security. Listen.
Haven't there been recent reports of Twitter and Facebook of messages that would urge infiltration into the United States across our southwestern border?
Yes, sir. There have been Twitter, social media exchanges among ISIL adherents across the globe speaking about that as a possibility.
That's just frightening. I hope the president is listening. We are literally leaving the door wide open for the most dangerous militants on the planet. Wayne, your thoughts on this very, very dangerous idea?
Well, this guy, Francis Taylor, the same guy, he's a senior official with Homeland Security. He's denied this. He said, you know, there's no way that this is ultimately going to happen. We'll catch him. We'll do all of those things. In the meantime, a journalist tested that theory. He goes down to Mexico, comes across the border wearing an Osama bin Laden mask, and he's not stopped.
Yeah, you know,
how crazy can you be?
That was James O'Keefe, and he did a very he did a little piece, and it was very interesting to see what he found. He could walk across the border, and he put the Osama bin Laden mask on, a little theater going on there. But Michelle, your thoughts? I mean, we really have to worry about this. If our border is that porous, and ISIS has the capability. We know they have the capability to get to Mexico, Honduras, Central America. What's going to stop them from coming into here if they're not already here?
Exactly. And remember, ISIS is making $1 million a day, at least $1 million in oil revenue. So they have the money to do that. And Mexican cartels, what they care about is money. That's all they care about. So the possibility that ISIS will give money to Mexican cartels to have them come over the border, help them, is very likely. And CIA estimates now show that ISIS has about 20 to 31,000 members. The members continue to increase every time they have a little bit of success. So all you need is one of these people to cross the border to inflict harm on the American people. And we have an open border to do that.
Yeah, Jim, you have to admit, the border is so porous and so many bad things going on. These people want to kill it. They've told us. Al-Baghdadi said, I'll see you in New York when we let him go in the Middle East.
Well, I disagree that the border is so porous. Didn't you also tell James O'Keefe to stop, that enough was enough? I thought that was
No, I didn't say enough is enough. I said you made a great point with showing how porous our border is. I wasn't sure you needed the Osama bin Laden mask. But to be honest with you, my apologies to Mr. O'Keefe, because now we have the Undersecretary for Homeland Security saying, yeah, there's some chatter of that going on.
Building a border fence that has been proposed and basically turned down for many reasons is not going to close off our borders in the way that I think you're pointing to, Eric. We already have an over-militarized border. That is not the solution. Yes, we do. I'm from Texas.
Is that
I've
why
been down
children
there,
are just able to come over here like no big deal?
Building a fence that divides the University of Texas, El Paso, that splits up families,
Jamal, you're 100% right.
Makes no sense.
There are portions of the border that are secure, but we have 1,900 miles of border. Hey, Jonathan, we heard this week that the country, Saudi Arabia, has decided to do it right. They're going to build a border fence along their border. What do you think of the Saudis doing what we don't do?
Eric, you want to copy the Saudis now? You think the Saudis have a ton of great ideas? I disagree with that. This whole secure the border nonsense, I honestly think it's a red herring. It is a GOP power grab to limit immigration, just like the Patriot Act, just like the whole Department of Homeland Security, which Bush invented, by the way. This is just another way to control our lives. There's no way to fence in the United States. Look, we've been trying to keep drugs in for decades. We haven't done that. But the idea is really what's wrong, Eric. This whole idea that, well, if someone's attacking you, you hold yourself up and try to build a fortress. That's exactly wrong. You go on the offense, you destroy the enemy. That's the only way to keep us safe.
Okay, so let's talk about this for a second here. Guys, pull up the first full screen of the two Austrian girls, teen girls, beautiful girls who've decided to take up arms with ISIS. You can see the picture right here. Surprising, shocking, right? There's one, there's another one. Here's the other issue I have. Now show me the picture of Brendan Tevlin. This is a gentleman who lives in my neighborhood. I know this family personally. My son goes to school with his younger brother. Here's a kid who was murdered a couple of months ago. All right. Now, everyone thought it was some sort of drug deal gone bad, but this kid's a straight-A, solid student. He was a wonderful kid. It couldn't have been that. Then they thought it was gangland-style murder because he was shot 6 or 8 times in his car, left to die. Then we found out that this guy was caught. Show us the picture of Mr. Ali Mohammed Brown. Turns out Mr. Mohammed Brown lived in New Jersey for a while, traveled around the country, and has decided to take up arms for jihad. He believes that his goal in life is to pay back a life for a life. Now, I'm going to bring it around, Michelle. I'm going to start with you. We don't necessarily have to worry about our border. They're right here, homegrown, right in our own backyard.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are thousands who have actually, from the West, who have gone to fight with ISIS. That is a problem, which is why it's important that we revoke their passports immediately. Yet the State Department doesn't want to confirm what they're doing. They shouldn't have passports. They shouldn't be allowed to come back to America.
Michelle, if you're fighting a war, you don't revoke their passports. You put a bullet in their head. If they're fighting their enemy, they're enemies of America.
So we know that they don't come here.
Well, this whole idea of let's try to protect ourselves, the whole notion, Eric, of homeland security is false. It implies this endless war. We heard this from Bush. Now we've heard it from Obama, this notion that we're going to be in an endless war for years and years and decades. If you annihilate the enemy, if you annihilate his or her ideas, the war ends.
Okay, but let me stay with you, Jonathan, for a second. Okay, these are American. These are homegrown terrorists. Do we put a bullet in Americans' heads?
If they're fighting for the enemy, Eric, absolutely. They're no longer Americans. They forfeit their rights once they join the enemy and take up arms against the U.S.
Okay, Wayne, I want to see you're restless there. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think what Jonathan says is specious at best. You know, you're going to have to fight these people forever. They've been at odds with each other for 2,000 years, the Sunnis and the Shiites, and we're going to have to reconcile ourselves to fighting that. As far as sealing the border, he's also wrong there. Listen, the Russians did it in Berlin. We can do it. The Saudis are spending a fortune doing their northern borders. You mentioned just shut up a second and listen, and maybe you'll learn something instead of talking all the time, you know, Jonathan. So they erecting a fence along their northern border, you know, with Iraq, and because they have something, they know at least we can stop the infiltration. We can at least limit it. If nothing else, we'll know who's coming in.
All right, let me get to Jim in here. One more thought. We learned also this week there are some patriots along the border who decided to take up arms and secure the border on their own. And what they're doing is they're literally going to the border, and when they see an illegal coming across, whether it's a river or just a field, they will stop, and they will stop them. And they see that most of them will turn around and go back. Now, is this what we're coming to, where American citizens have to protect their own borders?
It certainly should not be what we're coming to. And border agents have issued a paper saying, don't come. And if you come, make sure that you actually announce who you are. These militiamen,
and that's going to work. Hey, everyone, don't come, but if you come, announce who you are.
These militiamen,
don't lie. Eric, don't lie to us.
These militiamen went after a group of conservative folks who were actually looking at studying bats, and they thought that they were undocumented people crossing the river, and they went after them, and they were heavily armed. Come on,
these are American citizens.
To deal with this,
these are American citizens who are doing what they feel that their constitutional right is to go stand on the border and scare illegals to go back
to
the country.
Where's that in the Constitution?
Well, of course you can do that.
Where's it in the Constitution?
Where is it that you
and
can?
Protect our borders.
All right, let me ask my constitutional guy here, Jonathan. Is it okay if they want to do that? They're not arresting them. They're not shooting them. They're just simply saying, go back where you came from. And it's working.
Well, is it their property, Eric? I think that's the question here. I mean, America is not owned by the government. It's privately owned. People should protect their property. I think the whole notion of outlaws standing on the border trying to protect the border is I think it's pretty insane.
Well, when the government isn't doing it, what do they do? What do they do when their neighborhoods are being destroyed and there's crime and there's danger? What are they supposed to do? The government
well, that's the whole
point.
Our neighborhoods. Well, our neighborhoods aren't being attacked by immigrants, Michelle. They're being attacked by jihadists.
There is that's what the government should eliminate. See,
that's what I'm saying. It's a ruse. It's a red herring for immigration. That's what it's all about.
Everyone has something last to say. I'm sorry, guys. We ran out of time again.